Alright, so today we are going to be undergoing a pretty weird project that more than likely makes no sense, but actually will be kind of useful with how we're going to, sort of use this area. And you can see we kind of have a weird shape here. If I turn on the schematic, you'll kind of see what it looks like. Well, there are arrows actually, but, with it just being an outline, it doesn't necessarily look like that all too much until we actually get the full area dug out. Which you'll see very, very soon. Of course, we'll have to do quite a bit to get down here and everything like that once it's all the way down. But overall, so the area probably starts around like Y70. There's a lot of animals here. Like, I don't understand why there's so many. The other ones we've done, nowhere near this amount of animals. Kind of a bit much. But yeah, so that's everything here. But yeah, that's the area I'm going to be mining out. Of course, you couldn't tell. That's what we're going to be doing. There's no way to really automate this whatsoever, unless you kind of just mine out the edges and then do something with the square left over in the center. But not really going to be doing that. We're going to be making a Digsort here, which is the center bit. We're making a simple one that's not too complicated. So this was, of course, made in 1.16, so there's no deep slate. Which we're just going to swap out the sand because there is not enough sand in here to be worthwhile saving anything. So anything else will just go into the overflow. But yeah, this is made by CommandLeo and SpeedCuber and Ive of the Mechanic server. So old machine, still works quite well. Pretty much the only one that actually sorts everything out beforehand, which is nice. So yeah, we'll get this going underway. We can do shulker boxes as well as loose items itself. Obviously, there's not really much storage for the loose items, so you don't want to do that on a multiplayer. You're going to want to put it into shulker boxes for that. Otherwise, we're losing quite a bit of items, so hopefully people do that and not just use the items. If there's a single player, this can handle them perfectly fine, no problem. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll go from there. Maybe a quick time lapse of me building the Digsort up because I do, probably have some time to go and build this up. That way the members can do that. I did already get the beacons in place. If we go to Mini HUD and do beacon range, there are beacons covering the whole area here. So I need 5, which actually is quite small. But yeah, now we got to just go around and connect the water streams up to the center. Well, we're connected to the Digsort, which will just be connecting this bit right here, going all the way down, and then having a water stream from all 4 of the beacons, which you'll throw your items down into to collect them. So if you don't know how the Digsort kind of works, you have the beacon holes, you'll essentially just throw items down to them. They will then land over here where you'll have a water stream that'll lead the bit that'll go up into the storage, and it'll automatically sort everything out for you. But yeah, that's sort of the idea. We don't really need the items, but it's kind of nice to have them for some things we might be using in the future. These sort of ones you can't really farm andesite, which you kind of can from villagers and stuff like that, but it's not really automatic. We can just do it like this. We've got to clear this area out anyway, so might as well store the items, you know what I mean? So let's get along with that. Maybe a quick time lapse of the Digsort we're going to build up in the center here. Didn't take too long. Yeah, everything's all marked out, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I got a little bit of a progress update here. Quite a bit has been done. As you can tell, we're on pretty much the stone layers now. Not much more grass or dirt left over. I think there's a little bit above me here on the very end, where a little bit of a divot in the hill was. But yeah, couple people have been working on this for quite a while now. Get this one section fully mined down to bedrock. Still, good chunk, maybe like a fifth of the area down. So I like to do this for motivation, which I completely understand. Getting some spots down like this makes it seem like it's a lot less than if you were to just go layer by layer, because you're mining the same amount of blocks per layer. I get why they do it. Me personally, I haven't done it all too much. I've done it a couple times, and I definitely can. That's why I can see why people would like to do that. I personally just like going back and forth like this. Only because I can have a movie on in the background or a stream or anything like that, and I don't really gotta pay much attention until I stop hearing that block pickup sound. Then, of course, because we're using the Digsort here, we want to store some of the items. The stone we don't really care about all too much, but yeah, so you can stop there. Then I'm going to go over to here, the beacon hole, and just chuck everything in. I could have shulker boxes, but for right now, I'm sort of doing 2 projects at once. So I'm not going to plan to be here for a long time. It's just Rubik here as well, so Rubik's will be doing the shulker boxes. I know for a fact they do a lot of stuff here with all the shulker boxes. They have them like all lined across the perimeter as well. But because I'm doing 2 different things at once, I'm going to just mine here while I need to, basically wait for stuff to happen for the other project, mainly villagers. So, yeah, kind of can't speed that up all too much besides adding more breeders, which I do have, so there's that. So hopefully, with the 20 or so that I have, I don't gotta wait too long. It's gonna just keep me busy. And that way I'm still, in the mindset of playing the game rather than just sitting here and pretty much just doing nothing. So make some of the time worthwhile and get some progress done on a different project that's not too far away. A couple fireworks and we're there. So yeah, pretty good progress so far. It looks kind of cool on the map. Obviously, it looks a bit weird with the sort of, shuriken shape that it is, rather than the arrows, but once the deck goes in, fully done, it'll look a heck of a lot better. Still gotta decide the colors and everything like that, but main goal for right now is to completely get everything all mined out. As you can tell, I also did reach 12 million total blocks mined with a pickaxe and a shovel. It's kind of hard to hold A and tab like this at the same time. There we go. But yeah, 12 million blocks. We're just closing in on 8 million right now. And that's, pretty good numbers. Rubik's definitely has caught me a lot more than I would have liked, but Rubik is an insane grinder, so huge thanks to them for pretty much every single project you see on the server. A lot of the work is helped by Rubik's, for sure. So if you're wondering, the amount of items, about 4 million stone and a little over 3 million netherrack. So not the worst, but not the most, My observers being in the top 20 is kind of ridiculous with sticky pistons, and pistons, a lot of bedrock breakers and all that kind of stuff. Ward eaters teared down. I've done apparently 87,000 manual snow layers. That's a bit much. This ice is actually all manually farmed. This is done AFK'd or anything. So that's a good amount. Quite a bit of assault than I actually would have expected. So I don't usually, I have a bot obviously for all the farms AFK that leave me like top like stone and all that kind of stuff, so decent amount just from mining out manual perimeters. So yeah, let's get this one done. We'll be back hopefully within a time lapse of a little bit before we end. I'd like to do that for these projects like the last little bit if I can, as well as just stream it, get the last little bits of these manual mining projects in a time lapse for you. Obviously, time-lapsing the full thing would just be so much replay files and editing, so not possible as of right now, at least for me, because these projects also don't get worked on too frequently. This has been open for probably, I don't want to say, a month or so. We're only at this point, so it can take quite a while. But yeah, keep grinding this area, get it all done and dusted, and actually start working on the farms or converters, whatever you want to call them, inside of this perimeter. Alright, so unfortunately I wasn't able to get a final time lapse that I love to do for these manual mining projects. Did do a little bit on stream, of course, so if you aren't there, make sure you go drop a follow on the Twitch stream. That way you can see some of this grindy stuff and behind the scenes that usually doesn't get put into the videos. Like, the hundreds of hours you probably spent mining this area out. All thanks to Rubik, this is all cleared out. They might have finished mining the last 9x9 chunks. Pretty much, I think, today, a couple hours ago, but I wasn't home, of course. So they got that all done and dusted, and you can see we're working on the decoration now. I say decoration, but it's just a black concrete wall as of right now, but if I turn the overlay on, This is the shape that was actually dug out. Obviously, the arrows on the inside, you really couldn't tell that they were actually arrows. If I go to the map, you really couldn't tell they were arrows unless you kind of knew that this was starting like the arrow head right there. But yep, that's what we're going to be owning here. Sort of the recycle symbol, as you can tell by the color scheme. It is actually green concrete and lime concrete. Fits the recycle colors here in the US. And basically what that kind of signifies is this is going to be our converter area. So we're going to have things like copper and all that kind of stuff. Stripping of oak logs, pumpkins, carving, all that kind of stuff. It's really annoying to do. We're going to have it all in this sort of area here. That way it's really easy to just basically... We have an area for it. If you need it, you go here. You use the little processing. Most of these farms are really small. So it's kind of just weird to have them in main stores. Why not have it in its own area? We get a unique shaped custom dig site here, which is always pretty cool. And we get to boost our manually mined block stats up here. So overall, pretty cool area. I'll be back once the decoration is done. We got to figure out what farms we're going to put in here. I say farms, but really they're converters. But technically a farm is anything that makes a new block. So you can argue they are farms in a sense. So yeah. Finish this up. We're going to fill in the middle here with black concrete. That way, you know, it fills in the empty space, even though it's going to be pretty empty. But the majority of that area is going to be covered by the converters, so we don't got to worry about decorating too much. We're trying to keep everything off of the stuff on the outside as we can. Have it all in the central area here. So, yeah, we'll be back once we got some more updates then. Alright, so the converter area should be fully completed now. We got everything all in place. We even ran the copper converter over here for quite a little bit. We needed a little bit of copper, oxidized copper here for an upcoming project. So I needed to make sure that was all working in order. Not the biggest of fans of this design. I would really like a design where I can just essentially just plug and play. Because this thing doesn't fully oxidize by the time it gets to the bottom with a constant flow of stuff. So you pretty much got to input like a couple boxes, let it sit here for a few hours, and then come back, or then come back, put a few more boxes in to flush all that stuff out, and then leave again, and then come back in a few hours and then flush it. So not the biggest of fans of that, but it does, I guess, do its job in the end. So I guess like can't really knock it. I really wish it was something that was just like full constant stream, so I didn't worry about that if I wanted to get this fully oxidized one. Which, let's be honest, this is the only reason people make copper oxidizers. There's no reason to really store the other variants, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, that's that. Of course, it's all linked up to Cubic Splash Chamber. We got the Nylium farm, which is not hooked up, of course, because we need the Silk Touch. Player just stands here, takes a bit of netherrack, which is from right here. They'll take that out here, put it in their offhand. I'm not going to run this. I don't think we have any. Actually, we do have some bone meal, so just stand here, turn the farm on. Of course, I would use carpet here. This will be more reliable. So, if of course I would just stand here, use carpet interval 1. This would be a lot better. However, for this, I'm not going to run it for that long. It just takes a little bit to set up. I'm not going to do that. Of course, once you're done, turn it off. And then, yeah, if you weren't using Careful Break with Carpet Mod as well, I wouldn't be picking this stuff up. So actually, nothing got in there because I was using that. Then your empty boxes from your bone meal and netherrack get emptied out there, and then your full boxes get output here. However, because I didn't really run the farm, I'm not going to get much from it. I'll take this back to main storage though, because we do use quite a lot of that for decoration. I will be using a faster, pumpkin carver here at some point. We just currently do not have TIS carpet on the server, so unfortunately I can't really place more than 1 block per tick. So I'm, sadly cannot use the fast one of Illyria's that I wanted to use here. So for now we just have that small 8 game tick one that just goes back and forth like that. Then over here we have the log stripper, which is a personal favorite farm in terms, because I hate getting stripped logs, and that is the very reason why I wanted to make this thing for sure. I do not have any logs over here now, but essentially all you would do is you would just have your logs in your offhand here. And so you could have your axe, but just for this, you would, once we place the one, we instantly strip it, place another one, strip it, place the other one, strip it, and then by the time we do that, this is a very fast clock here. As you can see, I'm gonna turn this on. Essentially, it is a 6 game tick pulse here with the piston. So we got that going for us, but it's also a very fast thing. And the TNT drops down, gets split across 2 streams here that again just push down in range of the TNT duper, and then get blown up and sent all the way over to the shulker box loaders down there, which is a mixed X 8X loader. Unfortunately, I cannot hook it up to the same shulker box loader over there, as that thing is only 2x speed, so this thing will greatly outproduce that. So I had to run its own shulker box loader down there. This is a 36,000 an hour log converter, so it is, you know, still relatively fast, but way too fast for that shulker box loader over there to handle. So this one probably gets used the most, followed by the copper, then by that, then by the pumpkins. We do use quite a lot of the jack-o'-lanterns for losses and whatnot, but not nearly enough compared to the couple of the other things here. I believe when we update, we might add a couple more things here, but we do have space over to this side, mainly if we wanted to do that, because let's face it, this thing's probably going to go at some point. And for whatever reason, a couple of these members put a pig in a boat here on top of the door. Don't ask questions, because I don't even know why this pig is here, to be honest. But yeah, overall, really happy with how this shape turned out in the floor here that we did a custom dig project for. It's a very unique thing that I don't think people would have done for this, because we don't need a full committer. I feel like it is definitely worth doing something like this for something different, rather than just being a square printer all of the time. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, all sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.